tell me if I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Okun? Okun from Nevada? You're live on Truth Wanted.
Oh, yes, it's Okun from Nevada. How are you doing?
Okun, what's up, man?
I guess I'll just kind of. Yeah, how you doing, Dan? How you doing, Puck? Good to be on the show. So, yeah, I'm a former radar tech in the Navy. So not only do you have aliens, apparently you have a military day for you.
Hell yeah! All right.
So yeah, basically, former radar tech. So I do know how some of these systems work, and one of the things that you see on the news, you see that a lot of their so-called evidence is that screen from a jet where they're tracking this thing, right? This oblong thing. It's just like a hole with a little halo around it. And while I don't know what was going on with that plane at that time, it was probably mostly BS.
Which plane at which time? What are you talking about?
So it was from the camera of a fighter jet. The pilot was tracking something on their screen, and it was dead center, and they're following it. They're doing this high bank turn, and they're trying to follow it on their screen. But you can't really see what it is because, like I said, it's just a dark blob surrounded by some lighter halo. That's the scene that I've been seeing a lot when they're talking about these secrets and the military is releasing this stuff and whatever. But it is more likely that it's equipment failure. It could be that the system was put into some kind of training mode. It was, possible that, there's damage to the antenna. I mean, I've worked with a lot of these guys who maintain the systems on aircraft, and they're not not all there.
Okay, so this is like the opinion of like Mick West and some other investigators that look into this and who chalk up not everything, but a lot of what some of the stuff we're seeing as to equipment failure or just inability to, I guess, use it correctly in some circumstances. And I've seen other former people who've worked in radar and stuff who say like, oh, you're really doubting, these guys are actually really smart and that you should be so skeptical as to their abilities and stuff. So I've seen back and forth on this. This is one where obviously I have no degree of qualification to like say one way or the other, but it is interesting to hear your perspective on it, to say like, yeah, this is kind of just people not being fully there. So I'm curious if you've heard that kind of back and forth and if you have anything more to elaborate on that.
I haven't really heard the back and forth firsthand. It's mostly secondhand, kind of like how you're seeing it now. Yeah. But I have talked with these technicians, and there are phantom problems in planes all the time. I've actually had to troubleshoot not exactly a radar system, but I've had to troubleshoot a pilot while he's in the air and I'm down in the ship. Telling him, no, our equipment is working fine. Yours is messed up. And them just not believing us, even though like we've had another pilot go up with this other pilot flying right next to him. It's like, okay, everything looks good on my plane. If it doesn't look good on your plane is bad.
Okay. So why do you think then that with this recent report, they're not just saying, yeah, this is all equipment failure, or yeah, this is, something mechanical in nature? Like they're just straight up saying it's inconclusive. Do you think that they're just trying to be responsible with not being too hasty with things, or do you think there's another reason why?
There's definitely a little bit of that. And the other reason would be people are people. Military is supposed to keep, really good and meticulous logs of what equipment is broken, what, is broken with it, what is repaired, and all that. And at the end of the day, as meticulous logs as you take, people are still people, and you still have to rely on them doing the job to the absolute best of their abilities. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily deficient, although I didn't make that claim, you know, like some of these guys are not that bright. That is true. But also, you know, these sailors, these airmen, these soldiers, these Marines are put in immense pressures, getting maybe 3 hours of sleep, and then doing incredibly complicated repairs on a GED.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I get that. Yeah. I get that. I guess I'm more curious about, because it's one thing to say about anecdote, you know, and I totally could see that there, but just there is footage of some of the stuff out there that we're seeing that has been released,
right, but we don't know, and we don't know how well that footage has been handled. You know, there's almost no custody of evidence in there, and even if there is any kind of you know, chain of evidence, I'm sorry. Again, some things could just be, hey, somebody messed up somewhere, not maliciously, you know, and that's the biggest problem with conspiracies, is that, like, you take a little grain of truth, like a piece of footage could potentially have been doctored, and mix it in with a bunch of, no, it actually was a honest mistake. You spin it around and around and around, and all of a sudden you got people on their cork boards with, you know, thumbtacks and string going, no, really, if you follow the money, it's this. And it's like,
yeah,
come on, dude. People are people. Let's start there and then work our way back.
I can speak to that. A few years ago, Holy Kool-Aid, another YouTuber, made a video about flat earth stuff, which I was featured in and a couple other YouTubers were in. And some of the first comments that came out on that video were people saying we were all paid by NASA to like make that stuff out there. And it's like, no, we made it because like flat earth stuff was kind of popping at the time. You know, this was a few years ago when it was like got bigger. It's like, and you know, like it's a popular thing to talk about. No, it's because of NASA paying us to do it, you know. But yeah, I definitely think people get jumped too quick to some of that stuff, which is interesting. But I appreciate the perspective of somebody who knows more about this particular topic than Puck or I certainly do. So thanks for calling in about it. I appreciate your call.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a good rest of your night there. But yeah, I you know, it's going to be a back and forth at this point between people who are saying, oh, no, I think this could be something else, or no, it's probably just bullshit. And it's just going to keep going over and over and over again.
Well, the interesting point is, and I wanted to ask about this thing and get clarification, because I'm pretty sure that, especially in highly populated areas, it's not like this is the only one radar that is looking at this particular point in airspace, right? Like with air traffic control towers everywhere here in the United States, there's a number of them that are overlapping and looking at one thing. So I would imagine that if a number of ground towers are saying, hey, I don't see anything, but a pilot is reporting, hey, I see something, I can understand why they're more likely to say, I think there's something wrong on your plane. And since, you know, I don't know what's on these reports, but maybe since we don't have, at least in these reports, the corroborating data from air traffic control or whatever radars they have going on, they don't want to jump out and say that, because what do we always say about adopting a burden proof, right? If you say that it is definitely not this, then you've adopted a burden proof and you have to demonstrate that. The best they can say is, and they say it in the article, not enough information yet.
Yeah, not enough information. And also maybe just stuff that might reveal technologies that we have that they can't say either. You know, I mean, there's just a billion different explanations for this, but none of it is super conclusive for aliens at the end of the day. I mean, I feel like we keep going back to this, but it doesn't seem like that's the case.